The idea came from our producer CKF, and he actually hired me to do this project. And at first, he handed me it's probably a maybe 10-page synopsis of the film. And when I saw it, it has a lot of room for creativity, and it's not quite because when he told me, hey, there's this movie that's not in script stage yet. Are you interested in directing it? It's called Tai Chi, and even my first impression was immediately something like a very traditional kung fu movie, perhaps like Ip Man, because it was such a big success. And then, but when I looked at the synopsis, it's really different. It's got a lot of there's this big railroad machine, and then there's there's a lot of Western influence, and it's just like there are elements that could be. I thought it could be pretty far out, and it could be a lot of fun. So when afterwards we had a meeting, and I went in and I told him what I want this film to look like, and I remember at that point I already asked him. I said, "Hey, can I put heavy metal music in there?" And then he was like, "Sure." I think a lot of it, it's watching this film would be like, I guess in a way, looking at my daily life in some ways, because I have a lot of influences, and I love different genres. Like I read a lot of comic books, I animation, play a lot of video games, and listen to a lot of heavy metal, and then even classical music, and then so I just threw all that into the film, and so it's a mixed bag of different genres, I would say, and a lot of it's just like trying to really do something different. So, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But then I think there's no harm trying to put it in there and see if it works or not. Yeah. First of all, after Ip Man, there has been a lot of different traditional kung fu movies out in China, and I would say they perform less than expectation. So it doesn't mean that by keeping it traditional, it will work these days. So why not? We're gonna why not die trying, right? So I guess that's the kind of, in a way, a philosophy to why spending, because it's not an experimental movie. It's like a big budget movie, and it's a lot of risk taking. And if the studio is okay with it, the producer is okay with it, then of course I'm very okay with it. I think that's definitely how a producer and the studio felt about. But that's why they hired me, because I'm relatively young, a young director, and then I was brought up not very traditionally as a Chinese director usually are, because I was born in Hong Kong. I went to a German high school, and then I went to Michigan for college, where I studied graphic design, and then I went back to Hong Kong and started my career in the film business. So I have a different kind of background. So and I'm very lucky that I was exposed to a lot of different cultures, and a lot of different these genres that I came to love, and then I like just like so I tried to put in as much of that as possible, and is that the definition of young or new? I don't know. It's just like that's why we're testing our response, in Venice, and then now in Toronto, and when we open in September, we'll see. And we do tend to use the word young a lot, but by that definition, I would say what we mean by young, it's that we want this movie to have a lot of energy. It's just like when you see it, like these guys like really poured their hearts out and tried to do something new and keep it very upbeat, and not in the very serious world that we're living in. I'm trying to make this film a very you could say it's a popcorn movie. try not to take ourselves too seriously, really. And I think, I guess part of the reason why the Avengers worked out so well worldwide is because besides the fact that you know all the characters, it didn't take itself too seriously, right? When you talk about like gods from out of this world coming into Earth, if you take yourself too seriously, it's kind of very impossible for audiences to be very involved with it, right? So I guess in a way I'm trying to, I don't want audiences to take this whole thing very seriously either. Not really, because first of all, our script was still developing, but then we already knew that we want the story to, it's like from zero to hero, right? We need to start from when he was born, so we need a very young leading actor, and he needs to be a good martial artist. So we tried to find the perfect Yang Wu-Chan, and our producer. At one time, he saw the sports news saying, "Oh, this kid like won the Asian Games in wushu," and then he kept a record of it. And so we started to try to get hold of him, and then I spoke to him, and he's very, very shy. And if not for this particular character, where he's also shy and he's very he's having trouble with his illness and all that, I think I don't think he would have been right if it was another character, right? So he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and I think, but then one of the reasons why I chose him is because I think he has a very innocent face, and it kind of somewhat reminds me of when Jet Li was very young doing the Shaolin Temple movie. So it kind of like is this very innocent and good kind of face that audience would like. So it's kind of hard to describe. It's just like by instinct, I think he could be right.
Sure.
So and then assembling the rest of the cast was pretty easy, I would say, because like Tony Laukafai, when I did my second movie called House of Fury, when it was shown in theaters, he went to watch it, and then I ran into him on the street, and he said, "Hey, why didn't you call me about that character? Like, I want to do some kung fu," and that kind of stuck to my head. So when I was doing this one, then I called him up and I said, "Hey, you want to do this?" Process about it was both a very good journey, but it's also a very hectic journey because I started shooting this movie at the hottest summer, began in the hottest summer, and it ended like in the coldest winter. So, and I was shooting like basically every day, and because when the A unit rests, then I go to B unit, so it was very, very tiring for me. But then also it was because we're trying to do something new, so there are always new things going on, but then there could be also new problems that we have to encounter, like the Troy, the machine. Like it's not something that the crew is used to shooting, or the crew is used to controlling that thing from the inside. It's like a 5-story machine, and it's very seldom that you get to see that kind of thing in a Chinese movie. So that's why